Hey guys, Farmer Jesse here. Quick vlog. Want to talk about dry farming, want to talk about some lazy food preservation techniques, and want to talk about whether or not I'm growing a beard. Maybe I won't talk about that. I honestly don't know. Sometimes I just grow a beard because it happens. All right, so what is dry farming? Dry farming is kind of what it sounds like, right? It's farming without irrigation. Why would anybody want to farm without irrigation when plants and crops are mostly water? Well, it's a good question. There are a lot of reasons. One reason is just infrastructure. Maybe for us, we have 4 plots, 4.5, basically 5 plots that don't have irrigation. And some of that has to do with, one, we don't feel like they need it. We do a different crop rotation here where it's, in this case, it was potatoes, garlic, and then squash. That was corn underneath the tarp there. It's gonna next year be a seed crop. And then this is sweet potatoes. So that's just a 4 crop rotation that'll just go around in a circle over here. And this is a 4 crop rotation that doesn't really need a lot of water. So that's one reason that we haven't put it in here. But also, it's expensive. Irrigation is not cheap generally. I mean, you can do affordable irrigations, but our 1 acre that we really have under cultivation is kind of spread out a little bit, in that it goes downhill that way, and then it comes this way down the road. So, you know, that has some cost with it to try and get either drip or any sort of overhead out this far. So that's one reason why somebody would be a dry farmer, or at least do partial dry farming like we do. Another reason that somebody may do partial dry farming is just maybe access to water. Maybe you're in a rural location and you don't have good county water. Yeah, and then in that case you don't really have an option. You have to build a pond, or you have to dig a well, or you have to put in some sort of, you know, your own water system. You have to, you know, build those things. So maybe that's a reason that you would dry farm. Another reason you dry farm is that you're not relying on it for income. We are relying on it for income to some extent, but these are crops also that can take it. So like I said, squash, garlic, potatoes, sweet potatoes, corn, those are crops that can manage in a dry farming situation. Another reason that you would dry farm is that water's expensive out west. You may not be able to afford it. Some cases that the farmer actually can't use their water, like if you're renting land or you don't have the water rights, that's a situation where you actually don't have a choice. So you may have to dry farm, or you may have to import water, or especially in situations where there's a drought, you may not be allowed to use the water. So I think it's always good, just in practice, even if you have irrigation, like we have irrigation in several spots, but that doesn't mean we always irrigate. Like, I think in practice it's good to have your garden set up like a dry farm, even if you're irrigating. Now, what I mean by set up like a dry farm, that, you know, you want high organic matter, right? You want, I think our organic matter is 5.5 to 6%. On average throughout all of our plots, which I wish I could take credit for that. It was pretty high when we got here. Now we've added a lot of organic matter, but you know, I think we've only been on this property for 2 seasons, so we can't really have added that much. But anyway, having high organic matter helps to retain moisture. That's really, really important. If you have low organic matter, you have a low water retention rate. I think the statistic is something like 1% added organic matter helps to retain 20,000 more gallons of water per acre. So that's a crazy amount of water. And it'll help keep it in place for a while. So like, you know, if you're dry farming where we're farming, also it's not as risky for us. Like, we farm in a place where we get 50 inches of rain a year, here in Kentucky, whereas in Colorado you're probably only getting 16 or 17 inches a year. That's a big difference. You know, like, we can reliably get a few inches. We'll go through drought certainly, but we reliably get 3, you know, inches every month or something. So 2 to 3 inches every month, even in the middle of the summer. Sometimes we'll go whole months without a rain, but then we'll get 3 inches, and that'll last because of our organic matter, and because we also do another thing which is important, which is keeping the soil covered, right? So it's covered with plants here, there's a nice little canopy, but it's also got mulch, which you can kind of see right there, that black stuff. You know, that's all compost. Like, that's part of the no-till system, is that we're trying to keep that soil in there. Also, another thing with that is, if you're not doing no-till like we are, that you really, really have to be on your cultivation game. I just did a video about that. There's still an ongoing contest in that video, y'all. You really have to be on your cultivation game because every time you cultivate the soil, it kind of provides a little bit of a dirt mulch. Now, it's not great. It's not as great as compost, but it does work a little bit. It helps, especially in an area like Kentucky where, you know, we can reliably get rain. Now, if this is planted pretty intensively, generally in dry farming, you plant, you give it a little bit more spacing. I didn't because I don't know, I was kind of taking a risk maybe. But also, if we didn't get rain, I would just haul the hoses out here and make it rain.
Make it rain. Make it rain.
That's one thing, is that in dry farming, you definitely would want to space your crops out a little bit more. There are also certain crops that it won't work as well with, definitely at times of the year. Like, we couldn't dry farm our lettuce right now. We have to mist that regularly and water it and keep it watered so it doesn't turn bitter and so it doesn't bolt. If you're not doing that, you're gonna lose your lettuce. And also, I did another video, shout out to my own videos, about growing summer lettuce. But yeah, you can't dry farm summer lettuce. That's not really gonna work. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that for a second because we got about a ½ inch of rain last night. I can already see like our cover crop is starting to pop here a little bit, and I don't know if you can see that. Oh, you can see it, yeah, a little bit of green right there. That's not from last night, obviously, it's been germinating, but that rain will help really, really pop that cover crop. Oh, and you can see some potatoes in there, that's always fun after a rain. But also the other thing I want to talk about is we've just been doing some food preservation just a little bit for ourselves for the winter time, and it's so unfair. All the bounty comes in when we are our busiest, so any sort of food preservation that we're doing is always kind of on the fly. So some tips I have for you guys. One is don't peel your tomatoes. Don't waste your time. One, the peel is delicious. Also, it's not going to reduce your acidity so much that you have to worry about botulism as long as you follow all the rest of the steps. So you're gonna, you know, like, obviously you have to worry about botulism if you do it wrong, but do all the canning right or just freeze them. So you can cut up your tomatoes, cut all your bad spots and freeze them straight away. Don't even have to peel them. You can cook down. This is what we do, is we just cut out the core, cut out any bad spots, cook the tomatoes down till they're a sauce essentially, and then just can that. So we're not even wasting our time with the peeling thing. The peels aren't always an attractive thing, but man, they're delicious, and they're gonna break down in the jar. After a few months of just sitting in that acidity, they're gonna break down anyway. We also did a little bit of corn. We've got that in the freezer. That's super simple. Just shuck it and then you know, bag it or put it in. We have little deli containers we put it in, and then we'll put that in the freezer. That is a great way to preserve your corn, your sweet corn. You can do that with a lot of different things. You can blanch beans and then put those in the freezer. The freezer is one of the best ways to preserve nutrients. So if you have a freezer, use that thing, man. And it's super fast. You know, you're not doing the canning stuff, and it's way safer. You're not running into risks of botulism and those sorts of things when you're freezing stuff. You're just, you know, blanching it if you have to, like greens or beans or something, and then you're just popping that stuff in the freezer. And other than that, I don't know. What do you guys think about the beard? I sort of think I'm gonna shave it. Or I don't even really shave it. I just use one of those electric trimmers to get rid of most of it so I can pretend it's gone. And of course, if you like this video, please like this video. Hit the subscribe bobble. That thing's gonna pop up with my face on it, and it is worth just poking at it a little bit. Just poke at it, see where it goes. See what happens. And I'm gonna go see what Wendell's up to. All right, guys. See you later. Bye.